have our first speaker, the very first elite speaker. We have our Ashutosh Kapoor is here, the director of Power Automate Microsoft. Ashutosh Kapoor leads the Power Automate business in Microsoft India. He was the managing director, India and South Asia, Softomotive, when Microsoft acquired Softomotive. Ash, as he's widely known, is focused on creating an India strategy for power automated across GICs, BPOs, and a multi-tier ecosystem of partners for the next generation RPA and AI technologies from Microsoft. He has worked in India and the US as well and brings about 25 plus years of experience across sales, marketing alliances, and channels sales. He has been in leadership roles across companies like Sun Microsystems, IBM, Cisco, and Dell. Before the current assignment, he was the VP and head of partnerships in UiPath India, and he's an engineer and MBA from University of Mumbai and has a master's degree from the prestigious University of Georgia and the USA. So such a great person to start with. Over to you, Mr. Ashutosh. Thank you so much, sir, for being over here and starting the day for us. Thank you.
Thank
Over to
you,
you.
Anupam. Very good morning to you and to everyone who is able to hear me. I hope you are able to hear me very clearly. Do let us know in case you have some issues, but let me share my screen in the meantime. I hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Sir, yes, we can. Go ahead.
Kindly let me know. Oh, great.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. What I will do is, given that I think we got a bit late because of some technical issues, so I would try to make up on the time without wasting much time of people. I would like to cover over the next 30 odd minutes the basic need for business or need for the automation, because I understand the audience is quite mixed. People who have started on the journey of automation are there, as well as there are people who are just wondering what automation is. So it's important for us to set the ground rules. And therefore, I thought it's important to put the need for automation as the first step towards this presentation. And then I would talk about the integrated approach that Microsoft follows for automation. And this is, while it is Microsoft, this is something which is from the user's point of view. So it makes sense to look at all the things that are getting integrated in that approach. And I would quickly describe the product, and hopefully we have some time for Q&A thereafter. As we know, the need for automation comes because the evolution of systems is such that there are legacy, the disparate systems all around, some legacy systems, there are our own basic systems there. But at the end of the day, there is too much information floating, which needs to be brought together while accessing. It is no more the world where you just access one server or one database and then that's about it. There is multiple interaction between multiple apps and multiple app databases. More importantly, the customers of all of us demanding very different kind of engagement. They want a lot more in terms of urgency, time, upkeep, all of that. So with this pressure points, it is very important to ensure that, first of all, there is a very accurate accuracy of whatever we do. And second, most important is that we have these digital driven employees, who can answer and make sense of what's happening around them. Bots or robots come in picture to make sure that we not only do our job efficiently, accurately, and also adhere to all the compliances that go by. In all our jobs, there will be compliances, and Microsoft Azure and other settings also, we adhere to lots of compliances, and there's a whole list available. But then RPA case is not just about efficiency. Obviously, a bot will do a job far more accurately. There is very little chance of error. Therefore, the accuracy is very high. The system time, etc., increases. Efficiency of the overall system increases. And you can set the standards of compliance, which will definitely be adhered to. What is more important is that we are now at a stage where automation can cut across legacy systems and the API driven systems, which means any system which can be connected using connectors or APIs. Along with that, you can also have the legacy software. So that gives really a power to the organization to not necessarily upgrade all their system to one type and still work on automating the whole infrastructure. And with Microsoft, there is another advantage, which is now we are talking about a cloud-based automation. So you are not just looking at automation with on-premise devices or on-premise apps. You're looking at automation across cloud. And I will elaborate on that a bit more. This is the statement that covers a lot of things. So let me look at all the underlying statements, underlying words there, and tell you what it is about. Because we are looking at democratizing, first of all, democratizing, i.e., allowing most people use low code, no code kind of software to ensure that automation is done. So you could be anybody from a basic coder, or it would be a non-coding business person. All of them should have the power to use. That's the basic philosophy. And therefore the democratization of the automation. And then you see the word intelligent automation, which is nothing else but automation plus all of the IA technology or artificial intelligence that we are building in terms of form processing, the image scanning, or OCR, all of that. I will talk about these again. But together, this whole system is the intelligent automation system for all kinds of people. And most importantly, it's cloud-based, with or without API. So there are 4 or 5 concepts I've introduced there. Let me dwell in on each of them. But the whole objective of automation is to ensure that any mundane, repetitive task that needs to be done every day should be just given to bots so that they can do it far more accurately and bring back the effectiveness, efficiency in the lives of normal human, and people can just focus themselves more on things which are not necessarily mundane. So that's the whole objective of automation. Now, as you know, we are a new entrance, not so new as, but it's about a year now, where we had Microsoft UI Flow earlier, and now we have Power Automate, which is post the acquisition of Softomotive, an integrated platform. And our vision of cloud is something that makes sure that everyone from Gartner onwards seems to believe that our debut itself is on the leaders quadrant or visionary quadrant, and therefore we believe our strategy is right. I must highlight the fact that Microsoft Power Platform is not just about Power Automate. A Power Platform is a low-code platform that spans across the entire set of product line of Microsoft. So it cuts across Azure, it cuts across Office 365, Dynamics 365, all the 3 clouds. And most importantly, it is about ensuring that you have Power BI, which is the business analytics app. There is Power Apps, which is the easy to use, low code, no code app development platform. Power Virtual Agents, which is just chatbots, and of course, Power Automate. Together, they form what we call Power Platform. And because they are natively integrated with each other, it's easier, much easier to navigate between each other and work across. I will also talk about 3 concepts, which is data connectors, common data service, and AI Builder. AI Builder for us is a module that comes, which is a separate module, which allows people who are automating to do things like form processing and image or sentiment analysis and things like those. So anything that is required from AI bundle will be available through AI Builder. As I said, I can't emphasize much more on the fact that we are natively integrated. And what matters is all of the. So if you're looking at, let's say, Office 365, or if you're working on Teams, any of the, you don't need to necessarily start a separate window or start a different log for creating any automation and jump on to the next app. This is an integrated app, so from one to other is seamless, and you can work across applications. So if you have typically in an automation, if there is a mail arriving in Outlook, and then there is a Dynamics 365 database, or I mean the app needs to be accessed, or if there is let's say a Teams chat that needs to be integrated, you can do all of that right away from the console of Teams itself or any of these apps. Okay, but you will find that the whole approach to the Power Automate or the product line on automation that Microsoft has launched has an integrated approach. An integrated approach, not just in one way, but multiple ways, which I will see in the next 3 or 4 slides now. But anything that Microsoft brings in has the basic that obsession with ease of use, which means starting from MS Word to all the products that you see, the UI and the user interface and the usability, graphical end user, all of that is available even in Power Automate. So very simple to use, very easy, very GUI friendly, and it typically will have a very low financial barrier to entry, which means you don't spend for automation thousands of dollars to start, or annual fees of software to start. With Microsoft, you can do a small startup and then keep on adding the number of bots. All of them get paid by the month. So it's a user-based pricing, very low cost pricing, which also I will touch. But typically, that's the approach of Microsoft. And then, of course, the high-end security that we ensure that all our products adhere to are also part of Automate. So if you have any doubts about your data not being secure, just don't worry about that, because we adhere to all the security guidelines, and it's an encrypted data across on the cloud, also on the tube. So that apart, there is also the willingness to ensure that there is an across the enterprise democratization. So there are three different within this whole gamut. We are integrating three technologies: the basic technology of RPA, which is UI based, which is what people call RPA without necessarily APIs. So that is already there, which breaks down the barriers to the legacy apps. You can interconnect with the legacies. And then what we call DPA, or the digital process automation, is an API based automation. It allows you to build automations across more than 370, 400 almost now apps. So if you want to link to, let's say, a SF, Salesforce, Zendesk, or SAP, or Oracle, all of that, you will already have those connectors. It can straight away start working. And then the infusion of artificial intelligence, which I talked about through AI Builder and its components, is what I will cover. So essentially, all three technologies put together is what we call our automation. And the important thing is it's an integrated approach across technology and devices. So you don't have to be sitting on your console or your laptop to be able to run your software for automation. It could be across any device, and you have an option of cloud versus on-prem. So essentially, you have all those integrated approaches across platforms, form factors, or what have you. Not just that, as I mentioned earlier, it's an approach that allows all types of your employees to be able to use automation. It could be a low code, no code citizen developer, as we call them, which is working through your laptop, working on your just ensuring that your own apps, your email, or basic automation is done at your laptop or your desktop level. Softomotive had Win Automation, which is what you will see here, and that used to be a market leader by itself in desktop automation, and that's what comes along with Power Automate now. You also have developer support and coding related, in case you want to dwell on something much higher. Then you have that pro developer support, and at the same time, when in an organization there are hundreds of bots or hundreds of citizen developers, you need the IT and the admin to control and govern overall, ensure that there are compliances and security to adhere to. So all of that is again something that comes along. As I said, across three clouds, you can have examples after examples of how typically on most automation cycles or flows, processes, you will have components of Microsoft anyway. So if there is a mail arrives and then it has an attachment, which is a spreadsheet, you open it, you access a collaborating tool, and then you need to update the data or pull in the data to from a Dynamics 365 kind of a cloud, Dynamics or any other business app from Microsoft, and then put it all on the cloud. So all in all, there are many other products from Microsoft that will typically form the part of most flows that you see in an organization, most processes that you see in an organization that need to be automated. So the fact that this cuts across all three important clouds of Microsoft makes it a lot more versatile. The I just need to bring out the fact that, as I said, it's an ease of use automation tool. And most importantly, it has built-in connectors so that you can just start with your journey with any of your existent applications. It could be Zendesk or Adobe or whatever else that I named, up to 400 odd. If there is not a available connector, then you have to build that using APIs, and that's also possible. Uh, then there is something called trigger. Typically, an automation will start at a trigger, like an arrival of a mail, or capacity reached of certain storage, uh, or something else like a console going off or a user going away, logging off. These are all the triggers which are already built in. So it's just a plug and play. You drag and drop. You use the triggers that you want to use instead of writing code for them. Just use the drag drop to start a trigger. And once the trigger happens, uh, what happens typically after the trigger is an action. So if there is a mail arriving, it should be automated in the sense that if there is a mail with a certain data attached in the spreadsheet, the action is to open the spreadsheet, cull out the data into structured form. That actions, again, all of that is already part of something which is pre-built. So there are thousands of such action. Simple drag and drop. You can define your flow saying that once this trigger happens, drag this action, etc. And then if all of this is not easy enough, you can just use a ready template, very similar to Microsoft approach. When you open a Word document or a PowerPoint document, you have templates. So you have some ready slides or ready backgrounds or people who have already done the similar kind of thing before. So based on that, you have some ready templates and just use the template, customize them for your own use, and go on with that. So it's very, very simple and focuses on the user. I talked about the security of the system as it's multiple layered apart from API. You have a built-in security so that the Azure cloud and the data is not just it's not just a text data that's being put up there. It's an encrypted data, and all through the way it is encrypted, and it is an high-end security that we adhere to, not just at the level of API, but also at data or even the storages that we use wherever it's stored. So while it is a cloud, it's extremely secure cloud. Before I go on, I just want to get on to some very fundamental slide for everyone who's on the automation journey or not. It doesn't matter which part of the journey you are. This is what automation is all about. So whatever you do will be here. A typical automation is about ensuring that you have attended or unattended bots in the center, which is the purple box that you see, attended and unattended. Typically, there could be a design studio to just test before you launch your whole automation. And there is at the beginning there is a process discovery stage, which means which process do you want to actually automate. It's not a gut feel science where whichever process you feel like you just go ahead and automate. I mean, we do that a lot of time. Gut feels are correct, but process discovery is now a big science, and there are tools available for that. We have an integrated tool. Besides process discovery, you will test it and then launch it, and then you'll need a controlling dashboard to ensure that all the bots, etc., are monitored well. And after that, you'll need an analysis, which means turns out with insightful data of what, where, how much saving, ROI, etc. Now, all of these components are built into our component in just one, instead of having multiple different components like you see in the market that you have to buy a studio first or a discovery tool separately. Everything is built in there. Some of them may be priced separately, but most of, like, we don't have studio or something priced. When you buy a bot, all of that analysis and everything else comes with it. So you just pay one price for an automation bot, and everything else is built in. Besides that, if you want to add, let's say, a artificial intelligence AI builder, which is a new component, where you want to do anything to do with OCR or computer vision or language processing, image processing, or sentiment analysis, any of those things that you want to add to ensure you get a lot more structured data, then there is a separate component. And as I said, for our basic planning or the process mining part, process discovery part, we have something called process advisor, which is built in now. And Fortress IQ is not part of Microsoft, but still something that does the same, and Microsoft is invested in it. As I said, AI Builder. I hope I have the time. I'm just keeping the time. Yeah. So, few things that will necessarily require any good automation is, you will not have always the data coming in form of a structured spreadsheet. You will have invoices of all kinds with all kinds of scanning required. People would have handwritten it. People would have it would have various terms like invoice or receipt or whatever else. You need to have a system which pulls out the data in a structured format and puts it, even if it's unstructured, it converts into a structured format, which is what typical OCR kind of products will do. You can scan the document, cull out the data, and you will require it to train by using it again and again. That's where machine learning comes in. The more you use, the more accurate it becomes. And business card reader, form processing, etc., are all invoice processing. They're all examples of that OCR and document scanning. You also have a feature in AI Builder, which is to do with language and phrase extraction, which means if you're on social media and if you're monitoring your company's social media account and you want to measure a certain sentiment, positive, negative, etc., you can tag a few words, and then the bots or automation itself will be able to get that structured data analysis done using the AI Builder sentiment analysis tool. Also, for example, if it's image-based unstructured data that has to be converted. So, for example, if you are, let's say, a retail outlet and you want to see how many, let's say, bottles of Coke are available on the stack, and just a picture, if you take a picture and put it in, that it will be able to derive from the picture how many bottles, what size, and are available on the stack, and therefore what is the amount that needs to be refilled, and things like those. So it becomes much more image based. It's like humans, what you see and you act is what bots will do. They will see, decipher from it, and act. And obviously, predictive analysis is a very important part of that whole tool, where you know what is coming. You want to ensure that you are ready with your backups before a failure or any of that thing happened. So AI Builder has several components, and it's not just an OCR tool for us. It is far more. Okay. If I take an example of how the whole automation journey works for, let's say, a classic case of this is like our sales teams. If there is a sales team which receives an email from a client asking for a proposal with multiple documents, then typically, if you have set that trigger, automation will ensure that documents are automatically stored into that folder that we have defined, and all the teams will get informed. All the folks who are supposed to work on that RFP would get informed automatically. All of them would be able to access the data. There is extraction required, which means from the document, what are the If it's a spreadsheet or if it's a Word document or it's an attachment of any kind, you would have trained and defined that certain thing needs to be extracted. It could be an OCR output. All of that would happen based on the trigger, and it would upload it into a business process, uh, which just gets triggered. And at every stage, therefore, there will be a CRM. For example, this data would now be loaded into, let's say, a Dynamics 365, and a whole opportunity or a business case has been created now for that particular RFP. All the internal stakeholders, recommenders, approvers, etc., will get aligned with it, and the next step by default. Now, at any of these stages, if we want, we can make it an attended process, which is human in the loop, which means you say that up to this stage, let it be automated, and then let it ask for input from us. So it will stop at that and give you the data, and you need to then give it a command for it to decide what next. Or it could be entirely unattended, as if you wanted to make it a completely unattended process, it will continue doing this work as defined. Everything is based on what you have fed. Prediction-based historical data of the AI will be taken in. Once the offer, and based on whatever previous such offers have been given, team will focus on the right topic. The whole proposal is now ready. Orders are sent. Once the offer is accepted by the customer, uh, typically the ERP will be informed so that the warehouse starts the preparation, and shipment details, etc., will start. Proposed, the whole assembly is now aligned. All the stakeholder approvals will be taken in place, and the whole process of order is closed. You can also extend it to the point where the payment is received. And how does the payment system then inform the financial system? How do you upload it on your banking or financial Oracle updates? So there is no end to a process's length. You can decide the length of the process, but it could be small process or long process. That's entirely up to you. And whether it's attended or unattended is also up to you. If you visit the Power Automate website, you will find our pricing is very, very different. As I said, it's a cloud-based pricing. Power Automate can be used on two types. One is by user and one is by flow. When I say user, it obviously means that you can, let's say, if you want 15 users in a month or 20 users in a month to use the license, you can use a user-based pricing. And if you are wanting to have this whole one process, let's say end-to-end process, to be accessed by everyone in your company, unlimited number of users, then you can go by flow. Flow is nothing else but the process for us. So, and then all those components that I talked about, which means the studio equivalent, or um, the bots, attended bots, the backend monitoring insights, all of that is already part of that $40 fee or $15 fee that you pay per month. In the next month, if you decide that I need lesser number of people to access, you can bring it up and down. And then, most importantly, you can have two add-on components. One is to make this, any of the bot to be an unattended. You just have to add on an unattended module, which allows the whole bot to run by itself. And if you want to infuse the AI builder skills that I talked about, which is all of those OCRs or form builder, form processing, etc., then there is a separate component. You see that there is no process mining pricing yet, because the tool is process advisory tool is getting launched tomorrow, and you will see it on the Power Automate website. As I come to the close, Anupam, let me know if
Hi, sir. Yeah, almost the time is up. If you want to close the session, your voice is not audible. Have you gone on mute again? Ashutosh, sir, your voice is not audible actually right now.